Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And today I have a bit of an interesting one. Today I wanted to talk about multi-role ships. Star Citizen is a very physicalized game. That essentially means if a ship has certain features, you can engage in certain gameplay loop. In my last video, I talked a little bit about different ship roles and what you could do with certain ships, how certain ships classifications may differ from what their features actually are. And I wanted to now talk about ships that are kind of designated as being multi-role ships. So I have some examples here, and we're going to go over different classes of ships, in my opinion, in different sizes. So we have a lot of ships to go over here. And, if you have any other, multi-role ship suggestions, please consider leaving them in the comments down below. I might have missed some here on this list. These are just a few of them that I think are favorites of the community or ships that the community is looking forward to using as multi-role ship. So first, we're going to start off with the Nomad. And this is technically a starter ship as well as a multi-role ship. Okay, this is also considered a cargo ship. Now, some of the features that make the Nomad a good multi-role ship is that it has decent shields and weaponry, so you can use them in PvE combat. It has a decent cargo capacity, so you could use it for trade and hauling in the future. When CIG brings on distribution centers and hauling missions, it will bring a greater value to these ships that have smaller cargo capacities, because you might have a cargo mission that wants you to move 24 SU of cargo someplace. And realistically, it doesn't make sense to bring a C2 to do that job. So a ship like the Nomad would make a lot of sense to bring out in a situation like that. So these ships will become more valuable as more missions come online to actually utilize them with. So you have cargo. Now the Nomad, its back cargo area is large enough to also fit an ROC ground mining vehicle. So you can also use it in ROC ground mining. So you have mining, you have cargo, you have a little PvE combat, you have cargo kind of ties together trading and hauling. And because it has a decent interior inside of it, this is kind of like a little home away from home. Has bathroom, has bed, has a little kitchenette. You can put a personal storage cargo box in the back as well as an STV ground vehicle. So all in all, you could probably use this for a little bit of exploration as well. The Nomad is very versatile with all of the things that you can do with it in such a small package. Okay, so a lot of the similar things can be said about the colors black. You can use it to transport an ROC ground mining vehicle. You can use it to transport a number of other smaller vehicles like hover bikes, the STV, of course the ROC. It has decent firepower, so you can use it in PvE combat. You can even use it in a little bit of PvP combat. It has a turret. It doesn't have a bathroom though. So in terms of a home away from home, it's not really too strong on that exploration. But because of its side doors and its jump seats in the back, a lot of people use the colors black for piracy, actually. So you can use it in piracy as well. Then we have the freelancer here. The freelancer here can support up to 4 people in it. It has 4 bunk beds. We talked about this a little bit in the other video. Has decent firepower, has decent cargo. You can fit a ground vehicle inside of it. All of these features kind of fit in this multi-role gameplay style. You want to be able to do multiple things with this ship. It's not a dedicated gameplay loop like something like the Raft or the Mantis or the Prospector. Those ships, you really can't do anything else in them but what they were designed specifically to do. Like a dedicated combat ship, the Gladius, the Hornet, uh, the Arrow, those are dedicated combat vehicles, and you really can't use them for anything else. So these multi-role ships are very useful in the game depending on what kind of playstyle you want to have. Okay, and as we expand out here, the list continues. Okay, a strong category that's slowly developing is this kind of size range between 25 meters to 60 meters. This is kind of like the sweet spot in terms of vehicle size. So all of these ships here under 40 meters, okay, and all of these ships here are between 40 and 80 meters, okay, or 40 and 70 meters. And that's really kind of the size I think most people look at for a daily. Now, in reality, a ship that's between 20 and 40 meters is ideal because it is, more than small enough to go just about anywhere. The Cutlass Black is really the right size for a lot of things. I think that's why it's so popular, why a lot of people like it. It has those side doors, it has that back ramp, it has a turret for your friend, it has a co-pilot seat, it has a decent amount of cargo capacity, it has good firepower. I mean, there's just a lot to like about the Cutlass Black. Right now, it's kind of the king of that, everyday ship. And a lot of people kind of look at the Cutlass Black and, ignore the Freelancer because it's a little bit more cramped, because it's got that letterbox windshield that you've got to look through when you're flying it. So there, I believe, is a lot of potential for competition in that ship category. Okay, and so we have a couple of newcomers, okay, in the form of the Spirit C1 and the Zeus Mark II. Now I have the CL here representing the Zeus series of ships. But really, these ships offer a bit of the same. Of course, the C1 loses the turret. But in my other video, I talked a little bit about the C1's ability to be a potential exploration ship. Because it has those features that an exploration ship might have. So the C1 is potentially good for exploration. It has that ability to be a cargo hauler, hauling ground vehicles. You can even, of course, fit something like Fury inside of it, that small size snub fight. And so there's, of course, a lot of speculation about the Zeus as well. That ability to do a bit of exploration, the ability to haul vehicles, the ability to haul a lot of cargo. That puts it in a good position to be a great multi-role ship. And, at that size that is, 46 meters is very good for this kind of, this kind of ship. That's something that a lot of people are looking to get because it unlocks a lot of different gameplay opportunities for players in the game. Now, most players, they want to try out all of the systems, all of the gameplay loops that the game has to offer. And so that's why a multi-role ship is so attractive to most people. And you see a lot of people kind of focusing their fleets around ships like this. And that's why the term, this kind of everyday flyer, this everyday driver really, is something that players look for. This is the one ship that just about every fleet needs to have. I think a lot of people like having it when you're building out your fleet of ships. The one ship that you want to make sure that you have is an everyday ship. Okay, this is the ship that when all else fails, when you don't really have any plans that evening, any objectives that you want to do, you can always pull out your multi-role, your everyday flyer, and do a bunker or take a mission. Let's say there's a hauling mission that you could take. There's a trade run that you might want to take. There's some PvE bounty missions. You could do a bunker. Any missions that are in the mission tab, you can just go there and say, okay, I have a ship for that. Versus getting a prospector in your fleet, that there are no real missions for mining right now. You have to be very intentional with a ship like that. You have to know that when you take out a prospector, you're going mining. You're not really going to take that ship out to do bunkers or, even, PvE missions, or definitely not haul cargo and go to the distribution centers. Okay, so I think that it is a really interesting ship category to talk about because these ships are so similar and so different in the way they go about achieving the same goal. Okay, and then we move on to the Corsair. This is a perfect example of, a ship that has all of these ingredients and does it in its own way, because this ship has a ton of pilot controlled weapons for an exploration ship. And a lot of people find it funny that, Drake is over here marketing this ship as an exploration ship when it's obviously a gunship. But because of, Drake's heritage, they're really positioning this as the everyman ship. This is the ship that you're gonna want to take out to do just about anything. And so that's why exploration is a good category for a ship like this. But in reality, Drake's styling, their flair, their way of doing things really gives this ship a personality of its own. And as a multi-role ship, good for piracy, good for combat, good for hauling and trading, good for exploration. The Corsair is an ideal multi-role ship. Now, kind of the definition of multi-role is the ability to do multiple specific roles. And no better example of that is the Mercury Star Runner, because Mercury Star Runner is a data runner. So it has a dedicated role as well as being a multi-role ship. So it is one of the few ships on this list that's designed with a specific role in mind as well as multi-role. Okay, so its multi-role capabilities comes from its, good cargo capacity. You can do hauling and trading missions. You can do, rock mining missions. You can haul ground vehicles. You can do exploration. There's a lot of creature comforts, suit lockers, bedroom for the crew, a dinette table on the interior. It also has a pretty decent scanning suite because, again, it is designed for data running. So you need to be able to scan and capture that data. So, it can also probably do a good bit of reconnaissance with that scanner. And then, of course, once it captures that data, it can store it on the inside and transport it because it is very fast. It's a very fast ship. But it is a great example of a really good multi-role ship. Okay, and then I put the 400i on this list, towing, exploration, a bit of cargo, less so because it doesn't really have a lot of cargo capacity, but it can carry vehicles. It has the hover bike area. It has the creature comforts for exploration. It has a good amount of shields, actually, if you do want to take it into combat and maneuverability. But I would say mostly for PvE missions. I don't see anybody doing PvP in a 400i. It just doesn't have the firepower. And another great example of this is the Andromeda. It has much more cargo than something like the 400i, much more guns. It is, closely, heavily armored to something like the Corsair. It has the 2 turrets there. It would be good for exploration. I believe it would be good for a number of things because it also has that snub fighter in the back. So, you know, in terms of exploration, you can land this ship somewhere as your base of operations and, you know, take the snub fighter to fly around and explore the surface of the planet. But yeah, as you know, we continue, we kind of leave this range of an everyday ship. And uh, as you get a little bit bigger, the multi-role ships kind of become more of a base of operations. And we get to the 600i. The Explorer is, of course, a good exploration ship. It is actually getting an increase to its cargo capacity when the rework happens. So it is going to be able to carry a tank, which the only other ship that can really do that efficiently is the C2. Of course, you can fit it in the 890 jump, but of course the 890 jump is a lot larger. The 890 jump is actually a ship that might be good to add to this list, and I'll, you know, add it here. Okay, so we've got the 890 here. We're going back to the 600i. I think that for most people it will probably be too large for an everyday ship, but more of you're getting into that category of, okay, this is your base of operations, this is your main multi-role ship. And it kind of splits this conversation of a multi-role ship into two categories: an everyday multi-role ship and a sort of capital ship, where you have your smaller everyday multi-role ship to actually use in most circumstances where you don't have a plan for that gameplay session that day. And then you have your capital ship style multi-role ship that you base most of your operations out of. This is the ship that you use when you play with your friends. This is the ship that you use when you have an actual plan for what you want to do that evening. It is quite maneuverable and fast for its size. You know, this is going to be what a lot of people look for. And the C2, I put it in here because it really does have some of those features that a good large size multi-role ship would have. It has enough cargo capacity to do big trading, big cargo hauling, of course, transporting 3 tanks. But it also has the creature comforts, suit lockers, crew habitat. It has decent pilot control guns, good shields. So you can kind of hold your own. It has good maneuverability, the turret on the rear. I don't really see this as most people's, you know, base of operations, so to say, because of course it doesn't have things like medical, but you can also use it as like a ship carrier and all this stuff because it has such a large cargo area. I do see people using this to support racing teams. You know, we see this during the Daymar Rally. A lot of racing teams use the C2 as a support ship to transport the racing vehicles. So you could potentially use it as a support vehicle if you can hold other vehicles inside of it. And this is the thing about the community. This is not, the C2 is not marketed as a race support ship, but the game allows you to use it like that. So that's kind of the power of the multi-role category, and that's why I would say the C2 belongs in that category. Then we have the Galaxy. We talked about this a lot in the other video as well. You have the hangar, you have the modularity in this ship, so you can do this is one of those rare instances where it's not just multi-role because of its features. It's dedicated multi-role where you can have those dedicated gameplay loops built into this ship. So you can have medical, you can have refining, you could have the cargo hauling and trading. You have the ship hangar in the back. So you could use this for exploration as well. I know a lot of people are excited for the Galaxy to use it as their kind of capital ship, their kind of base of operations. If they want to engage in different gameplay loops, they can just swap out the module. CIG also announced recently that, you know, there's a base building module. So a lot of orgs might also pick up a Galaxy so they can build their bases instead of going all the way to a Pioneer, which is not really a multi-role ship. The Pioneer has a lot of cargo, but it's such a large ship. You don't really want a cargo hold with this. The Galaxy is smaller than the Caterpillar, so you can have all that cargo in a small package. There's a lot of bang for your buck there with the Galaxy. So you have a lot of flexibility in a ship like this. So I know a lot of people are going to kind of, build fleets around the Galaxy. And then we have the Caterpillar. The Caterpillar is really marketed as a cargo ship. But because it has those different modules, again, we don't know what the modules are going to be for the Caterpillar, unlike the Galaxy, where CIG has specifically released certain modules when they released the ship. The Caterpillar is a bit of a different story. I know that there is, some rumors of the Caterpillar being able to do a bit of salvage like the Vulture, because again the Vulture is a Drake ship and the Caterpillar has a lot of storage in it. I know there was, some narrative notes that there might be some kind of salvage module for the Caterpillar. There might be some type of drop ship module for the Caterpillar. There is a prisoner transport variant of the Caterpillar in the game right now as a part of a mission, but that's not a variant that players can purchase or obtain. Some point in the future, this prisoner module might be released to players, but because of the Caterpillar's modularity, it is also a good ship to base your operations out of. It has those side doors that can open that a lot of players also use for piracy. So because it has these features, again, the player base is finding different things that you can do with a ship like this, making it a good multi-role ship. And then right now we have the current king of multi-role, the current capital ship for many orgs, the Kavak. Right now, this is the king because we really don't have ships like the Odyssey and the Endeavor and the Galaxy in game. And I'm really interested to see how the player base, if they really still continue to stick with this ship as their main org ship. I think a lot of people will, because it has so many features. It has those cargo pods that are modular. So just like the Caterpillar, we don't entirely know what modules you're going to be able to swap out with these pods. It has that ship hangar, has the med bay, has the cartography deck, it has drones, it has the repair station, it has, creature conference with the pool table and the kitchenette, it has the captain's quarters, the engineering area, it has a lot of turrets if you want to do combat. It has that garage in the front so you could park ground vehicles. The list of features that this ship has is honestly insane. The Kavak is a real powerhouse when it comes to multi-role in this game. It is marketed as a dedicated exploration ship, but again, because it has so many features, players in the game use it for different purposes. And it is potentially also a good racing support ship if you're, racing with ships like the Fury or, other racing ships like the Merlin. It can fit a lot of those ships in the hangar and even the garage in the front. So the Kavak is going to be a very popular multi-role ship for a lot of orgs, for a lot of people, for a lot of groups of friends. And then a similar thing can be said for the Odyssey. I talked a little bit about this in the exploration ships video, and it has a lot of those hallmark features of a good multi-role ship. It has the med bay, it has the vehicle area, it has a decent amount of cargo, it has that large hangar, so you can extend the roles that it is capable of when you park different ships with different features inside the hangar. If you park a prospector in the hangar, for instance, use the prospector for mining, and then you come back and you offload the saddlebags, you get new saddlebags, and you go back out. It is a good base of operations in that sense. Next is the Endeavor. This is a dedicated multi-role ship as well because of its modules. So you can have a science module, you can have a medical module, you can have, more of an exploration type of module. This is kind of the only ship in game right now that enables farming. I mean, it's not in game right now, it is just a concept ship, but the idea of it is that you can do all of these things by equipping different modules. As stock, it can really only haul cargo. It has a decent cargo hold. Right now the ship is it has here that's 200 meters. It'll probably be much larger than that. You look at the window for the command module here, and you compare it with the Odyssey, and right now the Endeavor is not the right scale. So I think this ship will get much larger, but this is definitely going to be one of those ships that a lot of players base their orgs operations out of. Again, it has capital size components. It's going to be a popular multi-role ship when it comes out. Okay, and then we have the 890 jump here. Okay, the 890 jump has all those same features. It has that vehicle hangar, has that turret in the front for combat. It has capital shields. You can put a tank inside of it. You can cargo haul in a ship like this, but it really doesn't make sense because it's such a large ship. But you can do it if you want to. You can do touring in this ship because it is a luxury ship, but you can also do a lot of exploration in this ship because it has all of those exploration features. Okay, and then of course, to wrap things up, we have the cream of the crop. We have the king of all multi-role ships. We have the merchantman. Okay, and the reason why the merchantman is kind of the pinnacle of multi-role ships right now is because of how the Banu do things. They really do things the way where it's the best. So they have one ship and it is the best for that thing. Kind of like the Defender. The Defender is kind of their combat ship. And the Merchantman is their everyday ship. This is what the Suli lives on and works out of and does all of the things they have to do. So this is going to be able, this ship needs to be able to do everything that little tribe of Banu need to do. So this ship has the ability to store a ship on it. It has a ton of cargo, has a marketplace inside, it has a medical bay. This ship has a lot of features. It, of course, capital size components, pilot controlled guns, it has turrets. This ship has a lot of features that would enable different things: hauling, trading, vehicle transport. Again, with that marketplace, you can sell different types of things. So, maybe you can sell weapons, maybe you could sell textiles, maybe you could sell items that you've crafted, tying a bow in that crafting loop. So the merchantman is going to be a ship that a lot of orgs are going to look at adding to their fleet. It's going to be something that is probably going to be hard to come by in the game. And that's another thing that I want to touch on really quickly. CIG recently mentioned that there are going to be some economy changes and rebalancing in Alpha 3.23, or planned to be. Some ships will go down in price, some ships will go up in price. But it's going to be very interesting to look at how these larger ships kind of become more desirable, more rare, how more people might be interested in actually spending real money on things like these, because right now the game is buggy. It's easy to come by a lot of money. It's not that hard to make money in the game, but it can be frustrating to get on the grind. And one of the worries that I have is that, of course, a lot of people are going to get into it and they're going to say, how can I make as much money as possible? Because now they're going to want to, grind to get the ships that they want. Right now, Star Citizen is not really a grindy game. You open it up, you do whatever you want, you goof off. It's not a big deal. But, things might become more serious. Again, if someone gets pirated, you know, it's very frustrating, but it could be more frustrating if money is more valuable, if there's more to lose. So it's going to be interesting how the community handles it. It is going to be interesting how CAG handles it. It's an interesting topic. I might make a separate video on it. But you know what? I've spent a lot of time on these ships. They're very cool ships. A lot of these ships are ships we already covered. I think this is kind of a good way to wrap up the series, going over a lot of the ships now. CIG is back from their long hiatus, making content again, talking about the new features. And I'm excited to talk about the new features. 323 is going to be a huge patch. I'm going to have videos coming out this week covering a lot of this stuff that CIG announced. But let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments down below. I'm always super excited to talk about ships, talk about the game, and I want to hear what you guys think. So let me know down there. But that's going to be it for me here today, you guys. Another interesting conversation. Let me know what you think about this video. Like I always say at the end of these videos, you guys, like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Salute.